to the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impacts. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. In today's episode, we're answering the question, in a world where AI removes friction from everything, what actually creates value? To answer that question, we have Kevin Marginian. He's the Director of Operations at Spilt Social and Vice President of Operations at Vessel, a venture firm investing in early-stage founders across the Midwest and beyond. With a background in marketing and operation, Kevin helps turn bold ideas and scalable systems while building communities where real relationships and real opportunities can thrive. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you, Drew, and thanks for the intro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I got to we're talking Spilt Social. I think that every time I read that for the first couple of rounds, I thought it was Split Social, but it's actually Spilt Social, as in my cup is full and we bump into each other and I spill a little bit of what's in me onto you. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yep.
I've been to a couple of events, and I got to tell you, it's a networking event like no other. I host networking events, I host events, and I speak at events, and it's what it used to be, like say 2017, 2018, like at the peak of modern civilization, when we liked each other, when we had energy, when we had hope for the future. Everybody, literally everybody, and we're talking 150 people in some of the swankiest locations in every city, are just remembering what it's like to be a business person, to be a real person, to be a tech person, an innovator in their space. It's so much fun. Thank you for putting it together.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a great time with these events. And I think, part of what makes them so special is the experience that we put behind it. It's very thoughtful, just from, the moment of entering to all the way when you're leaving. Every piece of that is considered from an experience standpoint for the attendee. And I think your point around, 2017, 2018, like right before COVID, like everybody loved each other. And then people were then put into their homes and kind of sitting there and standing behind multiple screens, maybe doing multiple jobs. But it was all done with the interaction of the screen versus the face-to-face. And outside of just other networking events that are in person, a lot of what makes our events so special is, kind of the curation that we have around, which I can go into in a little bit more detail later. But it's something that people are craving, and we want to capitalize on that and give them an experience like no other, something they're going to tell all their friends about, and something that they don't want to miss when the next one comes around.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I'm gonna break a myth here. I think Russell Brunson, and he's up on my shelf over here, and Alex Hormozy, he's up on a different shelf. I used to listen to Carlton Sheets, who was like How to Buy a House, money down in the 80s. Like you had to buy CDs for that. All the marketing gurus have great advice. We're talking about the funnel, top of funnel, middle of funnel, close, qualification, all those words. And I think because we were stuck in our house, we all lost. We thought that that's what networking was. We're like, okay, well, networking is just part of one of my funnels. But networking is really more about being in the right room with the right people. This is like a lesson that's been like delightfully hammered into me over and over again over the last 3 years is real business, like the big dollars and the meaningful dollars. The real stuff happens when you are in the right room with the right people, encouraging each other, telling each other about the stuff you're learning, telling each other about the stuff that's like on the edge of your brain, asking for advice, and hearing what they do. You show up in that room one time, two times, about the third, fourth time you show up, folks are like, oh, you know what? I got a guy you should meet because we built this relationship. And it's not a relationship for money's sake, which is, again, that's a funnel. It's a relationship for relationship's sake while you're a valuable person. Tell me some of your favorite stories about the interactions that you've seen happen at Spilt Social.
Yeah, that's a great question. So within our business op networking events, we have many levels of people that are attending. And when we're looking out to, our calendar and looking at, the cities that we want to enter, and what are the big goals from like a Vessel and Spilt Social perspective for the year? What are the, you mentioned at the beginning, we invest in early stage AI and tech companies, right? Mm-hmm. So we think about that in kind of the whole ecosystem of the Midwest, which is really our kind of our territory. And kind of the reason for that is if you look at the amount of capital that's available in like a Los Angeles or an Atlanta or New York, you need to really include all the states of Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky. You need to add all of those together in order to even come close to measuring up to the amount of capital there. So how can we take this? So how can we take this ecosystem where we all come from, that we have a lot of passion around driving and building, and create this, like I said, an ecosystem that is going to help connect everyone there. So back to your question though, around the experiences. So when we look at a specific event, whether it be in a city, new city, or one we're well established in, we are looking at, who is in our network today and who are the people that we want there. Like people that are interested in, one, continuing to network, but also two, are interested in these types of companies that we are vested in investing in. Similarly, there are a ton of young people that are hungry and craving for these types of interactions. As AI becomes more prevalent in not only the way you do work, but just the type of work people are doing, it's becoming more and more important for younger folks to build their networks early. We like to tell people, especially some of our younger folks, build your network before you know what you need to do with it. So then once you figure out what you want to do and where your passion lies, you'll have your network there already for you. But from like a story perspective, like you see interactions from people who are, second, third year in college, interacting with CEOs of, some of these major companies in, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Louisville. But then also too, they're the people that have been coming to several events that are meeting someone brand new, and they're finally finding that person, that spark that was going to help them take their business to the next level. So it's really, really cool just to kind of observe and walk around the room and see some of these, genuine interactions take place.
No, it is. And I can tell you personally, I've had two folks on the show, and I have a mentoring relationship with another guy. And frankly, so he's 18, and it's one of these relationships that I just kind of want him to remember me when he's on it, because he's on this rise, but you can just feel his trajectory as you're talking to him. And I think AI is removing the amount of work it takes to do things. So it's removing the friction. I remember when my first year of college, I had to use the card catalog, right? I had to pull out that drawer and write. And then most of the rest of college, they upgraded the system, and I could just control F the books. And then, so the amount of work to do research drastically dropped. Now AI is doing the same thing to every conceivable white collar category. So this 18-year-old, and I think we can all remember being 18. Whereas when I was 18, I was like, these are the types of things that I would want to do. I need to now go do 4 years of college, and now I need to go like intern or be mentored by somebody. I need to do 8 years of work before I can really master my craft. But AI allows these. So we have these 18-year-olds that are full of energy and they're full of passion, and they're enabled by AI to do some amazing things. It's super invigorating. I think I was telling you before I came on the show, I have too much gray in my hair to have a peer who's 18, but I'm super invigorated by it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think, especially when you're talking about some of the folks in the younger generations that are on the cusp of, going out into the working world, whether that be starting their own business, finishing up their education, these networking events are critical to many of them. And I think, bringing it back to AI, like how you were mentioning, it's easier for you to do research. It's easier for you to it makes the work more efficient. We all know that, right?
Right.
I think it paves a way for more innovative thinking and critical thought to take place. Like, what are the real problems that we're having? What are the real things we want to focus on? Like, some of these companies that are launching these, robots that are going to be able to, do your laundry and do your dishes and things like that, which I'm on a wait list for one of them. Like, that is going to, all this is just going to free up so much time to really focus on the things that matter. And one of those things is human interaction. And I think that's where you're going to see a real resurgence and spark in terms of innovation and how we can improve things, not just for ourselves, but our communities around us.
No, I love that. So let's talk about curation, because I think Spilt Social, you all do an amazing job. You have an amazing network. I think the first event there was councilmen from Cincinnati at my table. There were
Mhm.
salespeople. There was engineering people. There was light manufacturing people. I mean, the cross section was genuinely stunning, and the advice that people were giving was fantastic. So you do very curated stuff. But talk to me about what people should be thinking about when they do their own networks. So you can't be in every city all the time. And the world is better if folks can follow your lead and start doing this real stuff. So what are some key things like magic, like little secrets? Hey, if you do this at your networking event, it'll really change it from the BNI experience to something deeply meaningful.
Yeah, that's a great question. So kind of how we approach it is we try and get a really broad spectrum of industries and networks that we kind of target. So that could be entrepreneurship and venture capital versus finance, banking, and wealth, all the way down to health, wellness, and sports. Um, you know, how do we bucket people based on these key industries, and then we kind of focus our targeting from there. And once we kind of get, a list of people that are currently in our network today that we know would be great to come, we also look at, what are some of the top companies in that city? What are some of the emerging startups that are in that city? And, we kind of scour our networks, work with, co-hosts that we have within those cities that are kind of boots on the ground. And
Yeah.
we kind of do like, it's almost kind of like a guerrilla style of outreach, but we try to make it very personal too. Like we do not have any mass marketing email lists. Like all of it is very direct in terms of our invites. And I think when it comes to every person who goes to a networking event is looking for something different, right?
Yeah.
So how do you kind of curate the experience so that you have the mindset of those types of people that you're bringing? So whether it's someone who's kind of on the younger side, who's looking for their first job or their next mountain to climb, or similarly someone who's looking for a new sector to get into. They've been in education for 20 some odd years, and now they want to try something that's more in the private sector. Okay, like we can help with that. We have, a dozen people in X, Y, and Z industries that we can introduce you to. Similarly, for some of our investors that are coming in, they're looking for, either the next company that they want to invest in, or conversely, companies are looking for investors. So we have all these categories of people that we're very purposeful about inviting. And when we look at our groupings that we have within the networking event, we make sure that they're curated, not only based on industry, but also based on level. So if you're kind of entering the workforce or, in undergrad, we pair you with people who are more well-established in those sectors that you're interested in. So each group has kind of a broad range of people, so you're getting to hear from different people from all sides of the aisle, if you will.
Yeah, no, I love that. I've gotten to be a mentor, and I was certainly mentored by folks there. There was college professors, there was hedge fund managers, there were people that have been operating businesses, serial entrepreneurs. Everybody was around a table, and we're all starting to ask these questions. And they're not tactical questions like, well, how do you manage to increase your revenue in the third quarter? Like, no, they were like, hey, this is what motivates me. This is how I think about these problems. And then we got to share our day-to-day problems and got advice from each other. It was we used to call these masterminds. But generally you have to pay $15,000, $20,000 to go, and you give up a weekend and you spend this time with a mastermind. This was like a little mini mastermind, which built deep relationships. I thought it was very cool. Let me,
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah, grab that.
Oh no, I was just going to say. So a recent hop event that we did in Columbus. One of my favorite questions that we gave to the group. So again, the once we have you in your group, we give you these curated questions. They're very open-ended, right? We want people to be able to, I mean, that's one thing
Yeah.
that a lot of people like is to talk about their experiences. So let's give them a forum to do that. So we give these very open-ended questions. The one that we gave to one of our groups was, tell us about a decision you made that seemed like it was the wrong decision for a long time that ended up being the right decision. And if you're someone who's 18 or 19, that's,
Yeah.
very very ambitious, but also very scared of like what's next and am I making the right decision today? Hearing that from, the chief financial officer from one of the big companies in town, and getting to like being real and being open about some of the struggles they've had is very powerful when you're a 17, 19, 18-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're in the middle of the J curve, right? If you're down there in that valley of despair, wondering, did I make the right
Yep.
decision? One of the things that I found most enriching over the last couple of years, the business hops being one of those things, is meeting people and sharing them the struggles that I've had, and them saying, "Yeah, that's about right." Like you're not. It's not embarrassing to have made that bad decision or to take that hit, because there's hope at the end of the curve, and this is how you can navigate that. It's been really good for me. Let me ask you this. Um, when was there a moment in your life when a relationship really changed your journey? And because you're spending a lot of energy doing these business hops, it's very curated, it's very one-on-one invites, one-on-one mentorships, thinking through who needs to be connected with who. It's a lot of touch time. Um, that's not normal. So, was there a moment in your life where you're like, "Man, this changed my career," and is that what kind of sparked all this?
That's a really good question, Drew. I'm very glad you asked that. So I've been in retail for probably a little over 17 years. I've been with Abercrombie, DSW, and Klarna. And I was reached out to by someone to come to this networking event. Didn't know anything about it, hadn't heard from it. And the person that reached out to me was a fellow by the name of PK Klein, Patrick Klein. And I tell this
PK.
story often, but he and I kind of went way back. It had been a while since we had connected, which was really interesting because you never know what, impression you're going to leave upon someone that someday maybe they will, reach out to you and it could change the trajectory of both of your lives, right?
Right.
But PK and I knew each other in undergrad very briefly. We only overlapped for about a semester. So that's how well I knew him. And then he happened to reach out to me over just about a year ago now, invited me to this business hop event. And I was just kind of blown away by the experience. I'd been to networking events before. They were very stale, like
Mm,
fluorescent lights, like everyone's got a table that's, straight across the board, and, you might have a panel. And so
yeah.
like, yeah, we've all been to those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was blown away by the experience that I went ahead and reached back out to PK, and I was like, love the experience. There's a here or a there here. I'd love to give you some thoughts on how ideas on how to improve it, make it even better,
Right.
which he latched onto immediately. He was all about making things better, making incremental improvements each time, which is what we do with the hop. And at the time, I had been in retail for, close to 2 decades, and I was kind of looking for, what's my next mountain to climb. So we kind of just, grabbed coffee one morning. I told him a few of my ideas. He introduced me to the other co-founder of Spilt, Josiah, and
Mhm.
kind of away we went. And so I started working with them, kind of just on the side and just, here and there. And then it kind of turned into this full-blown thing with Spilt Social and Vessel. So now it's a big part of my full-time gig. So I think that the impact that these events can have, again, you never know that one person, when it comes to networking, right? Like doing the outreach, as you said, is pretty taxing. Like There's a lot of
Yeah.
people we have to invite. Not everybody can make it. Well, most people want to come, but sometimes the schedule just doesn't work out. And so you can feel kind of, defeated when it's like, oh, we gotta, we need to fill the room because we want to create this
Oh
good
my God.
experience.
Yes, I know the
But
pain. I know the pain.
how many more outreaches do I have to do? And we're actually getting to the point where we're selling a lot quicker, but still, you never know that one person that you're going to reach out to that's going to say yes, or that's going to say, like, I will take that cup of coffee with you, or yeah, I can meet for, a drink after work on Thursday. And what that is going to lead to, because had I said no to PK, we wouldn't be here talking, and we wouldn't be putting on the events at the level that we are today.
No, 100%. And this is what I'm saying. You read Russell Brunson, you read ClickFunnels, you read, the making your top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. That's good from an automation perspective. Like if I was coming into your company to help you optimize, we would do that. But that's not how relationships and business really gets done at the higher levels. That's how you sell a product. But you're
Right.
not a product. And I think that that's what we all understood pre-COVID, and we forgot about it. Maybe some of the folks that are coming into the business world now never knew it. And it's so refreshing to be a part of that. Let me ask you this. Was there a moment in one of the Spilt Social events where you like looked out on it and you were like, holy crap, this is important for the world?
Yeah. I'm gonna say it was one of our more recent events in Cincinnati, because that was one of the first events that I had been a part of, where we had gone to a completely different city.
Mm.
Now, we had been to Cincinnati previously, just one time, but this was my first. This was my first interaction with Spilt and with Vessel hosting this event. And some of the speakers that we had in the room, that we reached out to and asked to speak on mentorship and community building and things like that. It was a really pretty venue. We had a staircase which kind of overlooked the entire space. Everybody could see the individuals speaking. And while it does take a moment to quiet everyone down because they're so ingrained and into the conversations that they're having with their groups, everybody turned and listened to these speakers. And there were moments where you could hear a pin drop while these people were speaking. And it wasn't just about the context of what they were saying. It was just like, look at all these people from all these different industries. From we had people from Miami University, Xavier University, all the way from people that came from Columbus, all descending on Cincinnati, and actually it was Covington, Kentucky. But all these people from these different areas, and now like when you look at this new IP that we're working on, which is called the Founders Fair, which is focused on college students who are launching their first or second companies. A lot of those individuals came to that event, and I think kind of just observing, kind of focused, and everybody attentive to these speakers, and just everybody was there for really good reasons. And just kind of seeing, the ripple effect that an event like that has had, for, these college students, but also too, the other investors and mentors that we're going to pair them with in this new IP. It's just like, again, like the people who reached out to those university students, could have just been a shot in the dark, right? And now we've connected them with some of the wealthiest people in Central Ohio, and they're going to be working on their new ventures here in the next year when they graduate. So like, just not only being there, but then seeing the ripple effect that it has. And sometimes it takes time, but it's very just grounding to see that, and it's great to be a part of it.
Yeah, I want to riff for just a second on your speakers. We've all been to the networking events, and the guy stands up and he's like, "Hi, I'm from financial advisory or roofing company, whatever." And we all politely listen, right? Chamber of Commerce meetings, BNI meetings. They all have their function. I'm not picking on them, but what I really enjoyed about your speakers is each one of them is speaking from the heart, and they're giving advice, and they're short. There's never there's never been a bad short speech, right? But they're always really
Yeah.
impactful, and they're inspiring you to move forward and to make deeper connections with each other. And then also, as you mentioned, it's actually hard to get the room to be quiet, which is not the case in most. Like you go to a chamber luncheon, and everybody knows the rules. They sit down, they're quiet, and they politely listen to the lawn care guy.
Yep.
And but nobody's going to buy from the lawn care guy, right? Like you either already have a contract with them, or you're not going to give them another contract. But these speakers were really they were really insightful and impactful. I remember walking away actually inspired, and I noticed that the back of the room wouldn't shut up because they were enjoying connecting with each other so much. That's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool environment that you've created there.
Yeah, and it could be mildly frustrating at times too, because you do invite these speakers to speak, and they're taking time out of their schedule, and of course they're busy. But I mean, I think that I think, as you kind of mentioned, like, that's I think that's a testament to, the curation and the thoughtfulness of the groups that we put together, and then also the questions that we prompt them with. Like, it's driving real authentic conversations. And then kind of back to the speakers, I would say, we had in our last hop, we had a couple folks, JP Nassif, who's, CEO of Jobs Ohio. And then we had Tom Ryan, who is the head wrestling coach at Ohio State University. Has been there, I think, for about 17 or 19 years, so longer than I was in retail. And so you get these people that are also coming from different aspects of industry and private versus public, and I think like a Tom Ryan was really inspiring. He spoke about resilience, but then it's also a kind of a coaching thing. Like, everyone's there because they want to grow their networks, and sometimes also they were looking for some coaching too and some inspiration. So yeah, it's really powerful to be able to get some of those people in the room, even for 5 or 6 minutes, which is great.
Well, and the other thing is crazy. I'm a conference guy. I go to John Maxwell a lot. I go to other conferences a lot. And you get these, you get the heroes. They're on the stage, and they're speaking. And they do and it's always great content. But then they go to the green room, and then they're shuffled out of the back by security. And maybe if you paid an extra price, you can go get a book signing from them or take a picture with them. But it's very much us on the lower level, and the stage people on the stage. But these folks, the speakers, first of all, they're all amazing people. Most of the people there could have been the speaker, and you just can bump into them and talk to them and connect with them. So it's no longer sage on the stage. It's now the person beside you working through the projects together. It's very, very cool environment.
Yeah.
We are kind of running out of time, so I'm going to give you so you take 2 or 3 minutes and just talk to the audience for a second about why they should come to Business Hop and why they should be paying attention to Spilt Social.
Yeah, for sure. So, Drew, thanks again for the opportunity to come on your show and speak. This has been a great combo. I think, the biggest thing that I would say about the Business Hop is, if you're looking for something, if you're craving building your network and looking for those real authentic conversations, this is the place for you. If you're scared or timid about the size of your network today, and you think, maybe you have some apprehension about coming to a networking event, this is the event for you. If you're looking to meet people in different industries at different levels, over a glass of wine, or a nice cocktail with some delicious food that's all included, this is the place for you. If you're looking for something that is exciting, is fun, and you'll meet a ton of people, this is the place for you. This is the event for you. And I don't know if anyone has explained this to you, Drew. You've been to several of our events, but one of the reasons why we call it the Business Hop is because we've all been to that networking event where you kind of get cornered by that long-winded talker, and you're like, "Oh, this is what you're interested in. Okay, great. Yeah. Like, tell me more." And you're just like looking for an exit. Like, we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
So when you come to our event, you are put into at least 2 to 3 different groups. So you only be with that group for a few minutes, and then boom, you're off to the next hop. You're going to hop to the next group, and you'll be with completely different people. So not only are you not going to get cornered, but if you are, you'll be on to a different group very shortly. But it also gives you the opportunity to meet a ton of people in a relatively short amount of time. But we still give that time in order for you to make those real connections. And then the last thing I'll say is we do a lot of follow-up that we continue to improve upon. But one of the things we do at the end of the event is we send everybody's LinkedIn information that we have. So, and we send it by group. So it's like, I couldn't remember that person's name, or I didn't get their contact information. We'll provide that to you. And then additionally, we also charge the mentors with an initiative to reach out to the people that were in their group. So if they had, a good conversation with, someone who's up and coming or one of the rising stars, again, that one reach out could mean the world of difference for a lot of people. So not only are you going to get an impact from it while you're at the event, but there's also a lot of follow-up and engagement within our ecosystem after it. So if you're looking for those things and looking to build your network and having real authentic conversations, come to the Next Business Hub.
I love it. Now, listen, if you're watching the show, you know that I always say this. Kevin, he's underplaying the value of this thing. I personally have had guests from the podcast. I have had a couple of business deals come through. I have 2 partnership projects that we're working on right now. In just a couple of events, my network has added some amazing people that have deeply enriched my life, and business connections that either I'm doing work with, or I've referred work with, or people have referred work to me. This is not your standard pay to play, listen to the boring speech thing. If you want to have networking like it used to be in 2017, back when we all had souls and we were all used to connection, if you want to find out why it's worth coming out to a networking event, you got to come to a business hub. When you come, when you fill out the form, you reach out to Kevin on LinkedIn, tell him you saw him on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. He's got something special for you. And with that, we are out.